Hi guys, and welcome on Cheaters and Jerks. This channel is about real-life cheating stories and consequences.
Carly is oblivious, lost in ecstasy as I continue my ministrations. But I'm hyper-aware now, listening intently as footsteps climb the stairs. The bedroom door flies open with a bang. "What the duck?" Laura's scream pierces the air. Carly's eyes fly open, locking with her sister's. But let's start from the beginning, right after your subscription to this channel. I pulled into the driveway, the familiar crunch of gravel under my tires, a stark contrast to the unexpected twist in my day. The business meeting had been canceled at the last minute, leaving me with an odd sense of displacement. As I killed the engine, the silence settled around me like a thick fog. Might as well surprise Laura, I muttered to myself, a small smile tugging at my lips. It had been a while since we'd had an impromptu afternoon together. I grabbed my briefcase and headed towards the house, my polished Oxfords clicking against the pavement. The late afternoon sun cast long shadows across our manicured lawn, the kind of picturesque scene you'd see in a real estate brochure. But as I approached the front door, something felt off. The house was too quiet. No TV buzz, no music, not even the hum of the air conditioning. I fished out my keys, the metal cool against my palm. "Laura," I called out as I stepped inside. My voice echoed in the foyer, met only by an eerie stillness. I loosened my tie, dropping my briefcase by the coat rack. That's when I heard it, a muffled sound from upstairs, my brow furrowed. Was that a giggle? "Laura?" I called again, louder this time. No response. My feet carried me towards the stairs, each step feeling heavier than the last. The sounds grew clearer, hushed voices, the creak of bed springs. My heart began to race, a cold sweat breaking out on my forehead. I reached the top of the stairs, my hand trembling as I gripped the banister. Our bedroom door was closed, but I could hear them now, clear as day. "Oh, Mike, we shouldn't." My vision blurred. Mike? As in Pastor Mike? The same Pastor Mike who gave sermons about fidelity every Sunday. I don't remember crossing the hallway. I don't remember reaching for the doorknob. But I'll never forget the sight that greeted me when I flung that door open. Laura, my wife, tangled in our sheets with Pastor Mike. Her auburn hair splayed across my pillow, his hands where mine should be. They froze, deer in headlights, as the door slammed against the wall. "Alex!" Laura shrieked, scrambling to cover herself. "It's not—" "I can explain." But I wasn't listening. A roar filled my ears, drowning out everything but the thundering of my own pulse. Before I knew what was happening, I had Mike by the throat, dragging him out of my bed. "Brother Alex, please," he sputtered, his glasses askew. "Let's discuss this like civilized." My fist connected with his jaw, cutting off whatever bullshit he was about to spew. I hit him again, and again. Each punch felt like absolution, like I was purging years of pent-up rage. "Alex, stop!" Laura was screaming, but her voice sounded distant, underwater. I didn't stop. Not until Mike's face was a mess of blood and bruises, barely recognizable as the man who'd baptized our neighbor's kid last month. "Get up," I snarled, yanking him to his feet. He stumbled, trying to cover himself, but I didn't care. I dragged him down the stairs, his naked body thumping against each step. Laura came running after us, wrapped in a sheet. "Alex, what are you doing? Have you lost your mind?" I whirled on her, my voice low and dangerous. "Get dressed. You're next." Her eyes widened in fear, and for a split second I felt a pang of something. Regret. Pity. But it was quickly swallowed by the tidal wave of fury coursing through me. I threw open the front door and shoved Mike out onto the lawn. He sprawled on the grass, groaning. Laura appeared behind me, hastily dressed in a rumpled sundress. "Out!" I growled, grabbing her arm and propelling her forward. She stumbled down the porch steps, landing next to her lover. I stormed back inside, gathering their scattered clothes. Mike's pressed slacks, his crisp white shirt with the telltale collar, Laura's lacy bra, her designer jeans. I balled them up and hurled them onto the lawn, a tornado of fabric raining down on the disgraced couple. By now, lights were flicking on in neighboring houses. Curtains twitched as curious faces peered out. Good. Let them see. Let everyone see what these two really were. "Alex, please," Laura sobbed, mascara streaking down her cheeks. "We can talk about this." I looked at her. Really looked at her. This woman I'd loved, trusted, built a life with. And in that moment I felt something inside me snap. "There's nothing to talk about," I said, my voice eerily calm. "We're done." I turned and walked back into the house, slamming the door behind me. The last thing I heard was Laura's anguished cry and the murmur of shocked neighbors. As I leaned against the closed door, my legs finally gave out. I slid to the floor, my head in my hands, and let out a primal scream that felt like it came from the very depths of my soul. In the span of 15 minutes, my entire world had shattered, and as the adrenaline began to fade, leaving me hollow and shaking, one thought crystallized in my mind. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. I stood in the middle of my living room, surveying the wreckage of what used to be our life together. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the sound of my ragged breathing. It had been 3 days since I'd caught Laura with Mike, and the rage that had fueled me then had morphed into something colder, more methodical. I walked to the bookshelf, my fingers trailing over the spines of books we'd collected together. With a sudden violent motion, I swept them all to the floor. The crash was satisfying, but not enough. Not nearly enough. I moved through the house like a hurricane, tearing through drawers and cabinets. Every item that bore her touch was tossed into a growing pile in the center of the living room. Photos, clothes, trinkets, all of it had to go. As I yanked open her nightstand drawer, a small velvet box tumbled out. The ring I'd given her on our 5th anniversary. I flipped it open, staring at the diamond that once symbolized our love. Now it was just another lie. "Duck you, Laura," I muttered, snapping the box shut and hurling it across the room. Hours passed, and the sun began to set. I stood in the kitchen, a garbage bag in each hand, filled to bursting with the remnants of our life together. The house felt empty now, stripped of warmth and memory. Good. That's exactly what I wanted. I dragged the bags out to the curb, dumping them unceremoniously next to the trash cans. As I turned to go back inside, I noticed Mrs. Henderson from next door, watering her roses and trying not to stare. "Evening, Mrs. Henderson," I called out, my voice dripping with false cheer. "Just doing some spring cleaning." She nodded, clearly uncomfortable. "That's nice, Alex. How are you holding up?" I flashed her a smile that didn't reach my eyes. Never better. Back inside, I grabbed a beer from the fridge and collapsed onto the couch. The house was silent, save for the ticking of the clock on the mantel. I pulled out my phone, scrolling through my contacts, until I found my lawyer's number. "Hey, Jim," I said when he answered. "I need those divorce papers drawn up ASAP. Yeah, I'm sure. I want this done yesterday." After hanging up, I took a long swig of beer, my mind racing. The divorce would be quick, Clean, but it wasn't enough. Laura had torn my world apart, and a simple signature on a dotted line wouldn't even the score. My eyes fell on a framed photo I'd missed earlier. It was from last Thanksgiving. Laura and I, flanked by her parents and her younger sister, Carly. Sweet, naive Carly, always living in Laura's shadow. A plan began to form in my mind, dark and twisted. If Laura wanted to destroy our marriage, I'd destroy her family, and Carly would be the perfect weapon. I grabbed my phone again, this time scrolling to Carly's number. My thumb hovered over the call button for a moment before I pressed it. "Hello?" Carly's voice was hesitant, unsure. "Hey, Carly, it's Alex. I hope it's okay that I'm calling." "Of course," she said, her tone softening. "How are you doing?" I let out a shaky breath, playing the part of the wounded husband to perfection. "Not great, if I'm being honest. I could really use a friend right now. Would you maybe want to grab coffee sometime?" There was a pause, and for a moment I worried I'd miscalculated. Then, "Yeah, I'd like that. When were you thinking?" "How about tomorrow afternoon? Say, 2 o'clock at that little cafe on Main Street." "Sounds perfect. I'll see you then, Alex." As I hung up, a smirk played at the corners of my mouth. The trap was set. Now all I had to do was reel her in. The next day, I arrived at the cafe early, choosing a table in the corner where we'd have some privacy. I ordered a black coffee and waited, rehearsing my lines in my head. At precisely 2 o'clock, Carly walked in. She looked around nervously before spotting me and making her way over. She was wearing a simple sundress, her long blonde hair cascading over her shoulders. I stood to greet her, pulling her into a hug that lasted just a beat too long. "Thanks for coming," I said, gesturing for her to sit. "I wasn't sure if you would." Carly smiled, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "Of course I came. I've been worried about you." I looked down at my coffee, letting a hint of vulnerability show through. "It's been rough. I keep replaying that day in my head, you know, trying to figure out what I did wrong." Carly reached across the table, placing her hand on mine. "Alex, you didn't do anything wrong. Laura, what she did was inexcusable." I turned my hand over, giving hers a gentle squeeze before pulling away. "Thanks, Carly. That means a lot coming from you." We spent the next hour talking, our conversation flowing easily from topic to topic. I made sure to keep things light, peppering in just enough hints of my pain to keep her sympathetic. By the time we finished our coffees, Carly was leaning in, hanging on my every word. "This was nice," I said as we stood to leave. "I haven't felt this normal in days." Carly beamed at me. "I'm glad I could help. We should do this again sometime." "I'd like that," I replied, opening the door for her. "Maybe dinner next time." She hesitated for just a moment before nodding. "Yeah, dinner sounds great." As I watched her walk away, I couldn't help but smile. Phase 1 was complete. Now, it was time to turn up the heat. Over the next few weeks, Carly and I met regularly. Dinners turned into movie nights. Casual outings became more intimate affairs. I played my part perfectly, slowly transitioning from the wounded victim to the charming, attentive friend. One night, after a particularly intense dinner, where I'd shared some of the more painful details of Laura's betrayal, Carly and I found ourselves standing close on her front porch. "Alex," she said softly, her eyes searching mine. I think I'm feeling something here. Something more than friendship." I took a step back, feigning surprise and conflict. "Carly, I don't know what to say. You're Laura's sister. This is complicated," she finished for me. "I know, but I can't help how I feel. I ran a hand through my hair, the picture of inner turmoil. I need some time to think about this. Can we talk tomorrow? Carly nodded, disappointment clear on her face. Of course. Good night, Alex. As I drove home, I couldn't keep the smirk off my face. She was right where I wanted her. Now, it was time to reel her in. The next morning, I woke to a text from Carly. I can't stop thinking about you. Perfect. I waited an hour before responding. Come over. We need to talk. When Carly arrived, I could see the nervous energy radiating off her. She stood in my living room, fidgeting with the hem of her shirt. Carly, I began, taking a step towards her. What you said last night, I've been thinking about it nonstop. And? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. In response, I closed the distance between us, cupping her face in my hands and kissing her deeply. She responded immediately, her body melting against mine. When we finally broke apart, both breathless, I looked into her eyes. I know this is wrong on so many levels, but I can't deny what I'm feeling anymore. Carly's face lit up, with a mix of joy and relief. Oh, Alex, she breathed, pulling me in for another kiss. As things heated up between us, a small part of me felt a twinge of guilt. Carly was innocent in all this, a pawn in my game of revenge. But then I remembered Laura's betrayal, and any hesitation vanished. Over the next few weeks, Carly and I fell into a passionate affair. Our nights were filled with a chaotic blend of lust and fleeting comfort. I made sure to be everything Laura wasn't, attentive, passionate, seemingly devoted. One night, as we lay tangled in my sheets, Carly propped herself up on an elbow, looking down at me with concern. I saw Laura today, she said softly. I tensed, my jaw clenching involuntarily. Oh? How is she? Carly sighed, tracing patterns on my chest. She's a mess, Alex. She keeps talking about how much she regrets what she did, how she wishes she could take it all back. I forced myself to relax, pulling Carly closer. And how do you feel about that? Honestly, part of me feels guilty. She's my sister, after all. But then I think about how happy I am with you and... She trailed off, biting her lip. I tilted her chin up, meeting her gaze. Hey, you have nothing to feel guilty about. Laura made her choice. We're not doing anything wrong. Carly nodded, snuggling closer to me. You're right. I wish things were different, you know. As Carly drifted off to sleep, I lay awake, a dark satisfaction settling over me. Laura was suffering, regretting her choices. And here I was, finding comfort in the arms of her sister. The revenge I'd craved was unfolding perfectly. Content warning. This story contains mature themes and sexual content. I wake up to the buzz of my phone on Saturday morning. It's a text from Carly. Hey, you free tonight? Laura's out of town for the weekend. Come over? My lips curl into a smirk. This is too perfect. I type back. Sure. What time? 8 p.m.? I'll be there. I toss the phone aside and stretch out in bed, savoring the anticipation. Carly's invitation to her and Laura's place is exactly the opportunity I've been waiting for. The chance to desecrate the very bed Laura and I once shared. It's poetic justice. As evening approaches, I take extra care getting ready. I want to look good, but not like I'm trying too hard. I settle on dark jeans and a fitted black t-shirt that shows off my gym-honed physique. A spritz of the cologne Laura used to love is the finishing touch. I pull up to their modest two-story house at 7:58 p.m. Carly answers the door in a flimsy silk robe, her golden hair tumbling over her shoulders. "Hey, you," she purrs, pulling me inside by my shirt. "Hey yourself," I reply with a grin. She leads me upstairs, our footsteps echoing in the empty house. When we reach the master bedroom, she turns to face me. "I hope you don't mind," Carly says, gesturing to the familiar king-sized bed. It seemed appropriate. I let out a low chuckle. "Oh, I don't mind at all." I pull her close and capture her lips in a searing kiss. She responds eagerly, her hands roaming under my shirt. I shrug it off as she backs us towards the bed. We tumble onto the mattress in a tangle of limbs. Carly's robe falls open, revealing lacy lingerie underneath. I trace my fingers along the delicate fabric, relishing her shiver of anticipation. "God, you're gorgeous," I murmur against her neck. She arches into me with a breathy moan. "Alex, please." I oblige, trailing kisses down her body as I slowly peel away the lingerie. Soon we're both naked, skin sliding against skin as we lose ourselves in pleasure. I'm so caught up in the moment that I almost miss the sound of the front door opening downstairs. Almost. Carly is oblivious, lost in ecstasy, as I continue my ministrations. But I'm hyper-aware now, listening intently as footsteps climb the stairs. The bedroom door flies open with a bang. "What the duck?" Laura's scream pierces the air. Carly's eyes fly open, locking with her sister's. I watch the emotions play across her face. Shock, defiance, and finally, crushing guilt. I turn my head slowly to look at Laura. She's frozen in the doorway, her face a mask of anguish and betrayal. For a long moment, nobody moves. Then Laura crumples to the floor, her body racked with heaving sobs. Carly scrambles off the bed, hastily wrapping herself in a sheet. "Laura, I can explain." But Laura is beyond words. She curls into herself, wailing inconsolably. I sit up leisurely, making no move to cover myself. My eyes never leave Laura as I savor the sweet satisfaction of revenge served ice-cold. "How could you?" Laura chokes out between sobs. "My own sister." Carly kneels beside her, reaching out tentatively. "Laura, please, I'm so sorry." Laura recoils violently. "Don't touch me. Don't you dare ducking touch me." She lurches to her feet, stumbling backwards. Her tear-filled eyes dart between Carly and me, horror and revulsion evident on her face. I meet her gaze unflinchingly, allowing a cruel smirk to play at my lips. Let her see. Let her feel even a fraction of the pain she caused me. Laura turns and flees, her footsteps pounding down the stairs. The front door slams shut moments later. Carly sinks to the floor, burying her face in her hands. Oh God, what have I done? I get up and start gathering my clothes, methodically dressing as if nothing out of the ordinary has happened. "Alex?" Carly's voice is small, uncertain. What do we do now?" I pause, considering her for a moment. "Nothing, it's done." But Laura made her choices. I cut her off coldly, and now she's facing the consequences. Carly flinches at my tone. Good. Let her start to see the real me. I finish dressing and head for the door. Carly calls after me, but I don't look back. My part here is done. The next morning I wake early with a sense of grim purpose. I grab my phone and open my photo gallery. There are dozens of explicit pictures and videos from my encounters with Carly over the past few weeks. I select the most damning ones and create a new album. With clinical detachment, I compose a text to Laura. This is what betrayal looks like. I attach the album and hit send before I can second-guess myself. Immediately after, I block her number. It's done. Final. A digital severing of our connection. I allow myself a moment of vindictive pleasure, imagining Laura's reaction when she opens that message. But the feeling is fleeting, already fading into a dull emptiness. My phone pings with a text from Carly. "Alex, can we talk, please?" I sigh. Time to tie up the last loose end. "Carly, I appreciate the time we've spent together. You've been a welcome distraction, but I think we both know this was never meant to last. I'm ready to move on. I hope you understand. Take care." Send. Block. Delete contact. It's ruthlessly efficient, devoid of emotion. Just like I've become. Over the next few weeks, I hear snippets about Laura through the grapevine. She's a wreck, they say. Barely leaving the house, shunned by most of our social circle. Her design clients are dropping her left and right. Pastor Mike is gone, having quietly resigned and skipped town in the wake of the scandal. Last I heard, his wife filed for divorce. I derive a grim satisfaction from the reports of Laura's downfall. I orchestrated this. I made it happen. She deserves every bit of pain and humiliation. But as the days pass, that satisfaction begins to ring hollow. The rage that's been fueling me starts to sputter and fade, leaving what? I stand in my living room, staring at the spaces where photos of Laura and I once hung. The house feels cavernous, echoing with ghosts of the life we shared. What do I have left, now that my revenge is complete? A career I barely care about anymore. A social life in tatters. A string of meaningless hookups to try and fill the void. I walk to the window and gaze out at the setting sun. The sky is awash in vivid oranges and pinks, beautiful but fleeting, just like the satisfaction of vengeance. For the first time in months, I allow myself to truly feel the magnitude of what I've lost. Not just Laura, but the man I used to be. The capacity for love and trust that I'd locked away. As twilight deepens, I catch a glimpse of my reflection in the glass. I barely recognize the hard, bitter man staring back at me. But wait, there's something else there, too. A flicker of possibility. The faintest hint that maybe, just maybe, I don't have to be defined by this anger forever. I've torn everything down, burned it all to ash. But from those ashes, perhaps I can start to rebuild, create something new, unburdened by the baggage of the past. For the first time in a long time, I feel the stirring of something that feels dangerously like hope. Hey everyone, if you found this story gripping and want more jaw-dropping tales, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Turn on notifications so you're always in the loop, always in the loop, always in the loop, always in the loop.